Hi, my name is Nicholas. Welcome to this week's yoga practice. As far as props for today, I was just having a couple hard blocks and a soft block. And we'll get started in a seated meditation for today so you can find any comfortable seated position. It can be cross-legged or something else. And if you want to use any of your props to make it a little more comfortable, then go for it. And take a little time to settle yourself in. Whatever's touching the floor, let it ground down. Start to grow the spine tall here. If it feels okay to close down the eyes, then go for it. Otherwise, find a soft gaze. Find something unmoving to look at. And straight away, start to check in with the body to see how it feels here. Maybe something feels a little fidgety and it could use some movement before you find your stillness. You might also check in just to see if any other shape would feel a little more steady, and you're welcome to change. As you settle the body down here, start to invite your breath to deepen. Noticing if the mind has started to wander, and if it has, without judgment, gently guide your attention to your body and to your breath. Mm, Please do choose stillness for as long as you need here. And if at any point during your practice you want to come back to this shape or any other quiet shape, listen to your body and do whatever you need. When you feel ready to start to move, we'll say it set up to start some Sufi grinds. So if you're sitting cross-legged, you might choose to switch the cross of the legs just to keep things even in the body. And you can choose to keep a block underneath you or take it out of the way. And starting off with a tall spine and then start to rotate the base of the spine in a counterclockwise direction. The hands can be at the knees or anywhere else, and you might start to rotate, keeping yourself mostly upright. Or if it feels okay to let the spine go, get into it as well. And then as you're rotating here, notice your breath. And see if you can link up the breath with the movement. So taking one full inhale and exhale for each full circle that you make. Moving at your pace with your breath. There's always the option to pause if you find a sticky spot you want to breathe into. And perhaps letting the head and neck get into it as well. Wherever you are in your circles, the next time you exhale, take a brief pause. And then with your next inhale, change the direction. It might be helpful to come upright again and maybe rotate from the base of the spine with a tall back. And then when you feel ready, you can start to exaggerate as well. This direction may feel a little different to the first, so listen to your body, and if you need to modify, then go for it. And then when things feel even in the body, as you feel ready to start to make your circles small again, and eventually we'll meet back in a tall, comfortable seat. Pausing for a few deep breaths, just letting that settle, finding your breath, noticing the body. And if you're sitting cross-legged with me, when you feel ready, lean back on the hands and give the legs a little shake out, maybe a tap for the knees, windshield wiper the feet. And then when you're ready, we'll swing the legs around, come to a tabletop position. Blocks can be somewhere near the top of the mat. Bringing the hands roughly underneath the shoulders, spreading the fingers nice and wide apart. Pulling the finger pads into the floor to help stabilize and strengthen the wrists. And then from here, step one foot to the back of the mat and then the other, come and find your plank pose. So knees can lower if you want a slightly more gentle version of the shape. And if they're lifted, then keep the legs really active. Find that length from the heels to the crown of the head. Notice the backs of the legs tone. Notice the inner legs zip together. The hands are pressing the floor away. Find that stability through the shoulders. And then breathe here. Deep inhale. And a full exhale. Deep inhale. And soften the face. Exhale. Deep inhale. Fill up. And stay. Exhale. And take one last inhale, breath, lengthen. And maybe with the help of the knees, lower all the way down to the belly. Untuck the toes, gazes towards the floor, and take a moment to engage the legs once again. Hands can be where they're comfortable. They can stay here or go a little wider, maybe up on fingertips. Inhale, breath, lift the heart space in the head, any amount up off the floor. And then soften down. And flow a few more times with your breath. Last two. Last one. Awesome. Inhale up to tabletop. And then pause here. You can bring the legs a little bit closer so that the knees are roughly underneath the hips. Hands stay under the shoulders. And you can also work from fists if that feels better for your wrists for today. Awesome. And then from your tabletop position, we'll extend the left leg out behind and flex the foot and then touch the toes down to the floor. With the toes tucked, start to shift your weight back a little bit. Find that nice stretch through the calf, through the back line of the left leg, and breathe into it for a couple of breaths. All right, you can lift the leg back up when you're ready. Take a deep inhale. As you exhale, bring the knee in towards the chest, towards the nose. Inhale, send the leg back. And exhale. And three more like this. Inhale. Exhale. Last two. Last one. Inhale, send the leg back. And as you exhale, step the left foot forward between the hands. Setting up a low lunge here. And you might use your blocks for this, bringing one under each hand. And lifting the spine up a little bit and adjust the back leg as needed. So if you need to shift it back or forward, if you need to add some support for that knee, then go for it. And we'll flow here from a lunge to a half split. So using any height that you need on your blocks. And take your inhale breath and lengthen through the front body. Maybe lift the gaze a little bit. And then as you exhale, shift the hips back and extend the front leg towards straight, any amount. And then inhale, come forward. And exhale, shift back. And keep going with your breath. Last three. And final one. And the next time you inhale, come back to your lunge. And now heel toe the left foot a little wider. So left foot roughly to the left edge of the mat. And then point the toes however they feel the most comfortable in your body. So knee and toes roughly pointing in the same direction, and adjust until the knee, ankle, and hip are all happy with the shape. And we'll set up to twist here in our lizard lunge. So see if you want to have a block for the hand. If the floor feels a little far away, you can use that. And taking the right hand off to the right, the left hand to the left thigh. And the next time you inhale, start to turn the chest open towards the left. And see what expression you want here. But before you go into deeper, check in with that right shoulder. So you might find a slight external rotation of the arm. Maybe that helps you stabilize and find a little more strength there. But see what feels comfortable. Left hand can stay where it is. You can reach it up towards the ceiling, maybe towards the back. You can quad stretch if you like. So be in any expression of this twist. Breathe into that whole front line of the body, from the top of the right foot all the way up to the throat. Awesome. Gently release the left hand back down to the floor from your twist. And you can step the left leg back. We'll set up for child's pose. So you might set the knees nice and far apart, hips towards the heels, and then start to let the torso drip towards the floor. Maybe the forehead lands. You can add a prop if the floor is a little far away, and maybe a little movement for the hips, a rock of the head side to side. And let yourself settle in here. Notice your breath here. And only when you feel ready to move again, you can make your way back up to a tabletop position. And setting the hands roughly underneath the shoulders, spread the fingers, grip the finger pads, and then send the right leg out behind you. And flexing the foot, and then lower those right toes down to the floor. Hook the right toes under, and then start to shift your weight back. Find that nice stretch through the back line of that right leg. Imagine you could breathe into it. Awesome. And then when you're ready, lift the leg up behind you. Take a deep inhale. As you exhale, knee towards the nose. Inhale, leg back. And same again. 3 more. Inhale, breath, send the leg straight back. And with your exhale, step the right foot forward between the hands. And setting your low lunge up, maybe a block for each hand. And then take a moment to set up the proportions of the shape if you need to lengthen, shorten, widen, anything like that, using any height setting for your blocks. Inhale, breath, lengthen the front body, maybe lift the gaze. And then exhale, shift the hips back, extend the right leg. Inhale, come forward. And exhale back. And keep going with your breath, your range of motion. About 5 more to go. Last couple. Last one. Your next inhale, come back to your lunge, and then we'll set up for lizard. So you can heel toe the right foot to the right, see what height setting you want for your block if you're using it. And find the angle for the right foot that feels best here. You can let the hips get heavy, maybe patting the back knee. Right hand to the right hip, and with an inhale, turn the chest open. Maybe the gaze will follow, or it can stay down. And check in with your body. Is there anything that can adjust to make it feel a little bit more stable? Mirroring whatever arm expression you did on the first side. Find your breath. Awesome. From your twist, gently unravel to center, bring the hands down, and then step that right leg back, and we'll find child's pose once again. Knees wide or knees together, maybe hips towards the heels, chest towards the floor, and props wherever you need them. Any arm expression you like here. Check in with your body here. Only when you feel ready to make your way back up to a tabletop position. Setting up the hands, firming up the wrists. And then when you're ready, you step your feet back and find your plank pose. Any version of plank, take a moment to check in, make sure the low back feels supported. If not, maybe lift the hips a little higher and see if that helps. Take 5 deep breaths here. Hands are pressing the floor away. Find that length from the heels to the crown. Soften anything you don't need. All right, take one last inhale. And lower all the way down to the belly. Untuck the toes. 5 rounds of cobra with your breath. Last one. And then inhale to tabletop. And this time tuck the toes, lift the knees, and find downward facing dog. And give the hips a little movement side to side, maybe pedal the heels. And check in with the hands. Once again, press the hands into the floor. Find a sense of stability. Lifting the tailbone up towards the ceiling. Let the spine be heavy. Let the head hang at the end of the spine. Deepest inhale. Deepest sigh. 3 more. Last one. Full inhale. Full exhale. Your next inhale, bend your knees and look forward. With your exhale, start to walk the feet towards the hands and come and find your forward fold at the top of the mat. You can bend the knees as much as you need to make the shape more accessible. You can also bring your hands to block straight away if working from a halfway lift shape feels better for the low back. Otherwise, let the spine dangle heavy. Let the head hang at the bottom of it. And check in here to see if there's something you could add on with the arms that would enhance your shape. Maybe doing earmuffs, hands on the ears to add some weight to the skull. You could also interlace hands at the neck or at the low back. Any movement that you like, otherwise choose stillness. If you have a bind, you can let that go. With an inhale, come and find a halfway lift shape and lengthen the spine. With your exhale, fold in, sigh it out. And twice more, inhale. And exhale. Once more. Inhale breath, come to your halfway lift. And then pause here with your exhale. And take a moment to lengthen tailbone to the crown. Inhale. Exhale, stay. Maybe tone the belly a little, added support for the spine. Inhale. And exhale. With a strong belly and a flat back, inhale, come all the way up to stand out, reach the arms up towards the ceiling. And then pause here as you arrive, soften the shrug muscles. If you're at all lightheaded, the arms can stay up, you can catch the wall, or you can come halfway down. And whenever you feel ready to, release the arms down to your sides. And come and find your mountain pose. You can lift and spread the toes out. And whatever distance between your feet feels the most stable, and then whatever angle with the feet feels the most natural in your body. With an inhale breath, lift the shoulders up towards the ears. And with your exhale, bring them back and down. A few more times like that. Inhale. And exhale. Last couple. Last one. Awesome. Interlace the fingers and then press the palms away. With an inhale breath, reach the arms up towards the ceiling and soften the shrug muscles here. If this doesn't work for you, you can take the hands apart. You can even bring a prop between your hands or like a strap or something like that. Otherwise, pressing the palms away, take a deep inhale, stretch the whole body long. With your exhale, arc over towards the right. Inhale, come back to center and to the left. And twice more each side. Inhale and exhale. In and out. Once you complete the last round, inhale, come on up, and exhale, release the arms. And give the arms a little shake out. You can give the legs a little shake out. It might be handy to have your blocks near the top of the mat. You can have them at any height setting just so that they're nearby in case you want to reach for them. And then set up to balance on the left foot so you can lift and spread those left toes out. And lowering them down, keeping a little distance. And then just like with the fingertips, imagine that your toes can grip into the floor as well. And see if that helps you find a little bit more stability for that ankle. Shifting the weight over towards the left, lift the right knee to center, and then notice if the right hip came up with the foot, then see if you can keep your hips even side to side. We'll set up to extend that right leg, so for more support, you can bring the hands underneath the right leg. More challenge, maybe hands to prayer, hips up towards the ceiling if you like. And take a moment to broaden the chest to lengthen from that left heel to the crown of the head. Take a deep inhale, and with your exhale, extend the right leg. Inhale to bend, and exhale to extend. 3 more. Last one, embrace the jiggles. All right, inhale, bend, and then pause here as you exhale. Hands to prayer, preparing for a transition to warrior 3. Take a deep inhale breath, find that length. Keep the knee tucked as you exhale. Start to hinge forward from that left hip. As the spine comes towards parallel, start to send that right leg straight behind you. Foot flat, imagine like it's kicking the wall behind. And then hands can find props straight away if you want a more supported version. Otherwise, if you're with me with hands in prayer, you might bring one hand towards the low back and then just notice if one hip is lifting higher than the other. It tends to be that right hip that wants to open. So see if you can keep the bum kind of even side to side. Find that length from the right heel to the crown of the head and take a few deep breaths here. Last couple. All right, stay here for a deep inhale. As you exhale, slowly lower that right foot to the back of the mat and then come on up. You can extend the front leg. We'll set up warrior 1. So front toes are pointing forward, back toes mostly forward and out to the side if that helps the shape. I also like to widen the base a little bit. I find having a little more space for the hips here can be helpful. Back heel is to the floor, and you can shorten your base if it's not quite touching down. When you're ready, bend into that front knee. Hands can be in prayer, arms up towards the ceiling, maybe a little softness for the shoulders. Find your breath here. Notice the low back. If it feels like a deep back bend, you might even imagine a slight hug, pubic bone towards the belly button to help counter it, help support. All right, setting up for pyramid pose. Inhale breath, extend the left leg towards straight, and then bring the hands to the hips. Check in with the hips, keep the pelvis level side to side, and then a deep inhale here, lengthen the spine, puff up the chest. As you exhale, start to hinge from both hips, bring the spine towards parallel to the floor, and you can bring your blocks in straight away for support. If you're not using your blocks, then just like Warrior 3, if you like, you can bring hands to prayer, hips. You could also interlace the hands behind the back if you like. So either staying in a halfway lift shape, or from here, if it feels okay for your spine, your hip, your leg, you can start to let the chest dip towards the floor. Notice what's happening to the hips. There might be a tendency for them to swing off to one side. See if you can keep them in center. And then mindful that it's a pain-free expression. Find your version of it. Only when you are ready, inhale, breath, come to a halfway lift. And with your exhale, step that right foot forward and come and find a forward fold over the legs. It doesn't have to be in stillness. If you want to move a little bit, then go for it. If for any reason being in down dog or coming to standing feels better as a rest shape, then go for it. Otherwise, staying where you are for about 8 breaths. Joining in forward fold if you're resting somewhere else. Bring the hands to the legs. Inhale, breath, lengthen, tail to crown. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, fold. Once more, inhale. And let that go. Inhale, halfway lift. And pause here, exhale. One more full round of breath. And then press the feet down, tone the belly. Inhale, come all the way up, circle the arms up towards the ceiling. And release your hands down to your sides. Find your mountain pose and pause here. Adjusting the feet, adjusting the rest of the body any way you need. And from your mountain pose, inhale, breath, lift the shoulders up towards the ears, and then soften them down and back. A few more, keep going with your breath, your range of motion. The next time you exhale, let the shoulders settle down. And then interlace the fingers, press the palms away, or your expression, start to raise the arms up with an inhale. With your exhale, arc over towards the right. Inhale, come up center, and then left. Inhale, the side stretch. Inhale, the side stretch. One more each side. Inhale, come up. And release the arms. Let them have a little shake out. And release the legs as well. And then we'll set up to balance here. So right foot steps down, lift and spread the toes, lower them, maybe little gaps. You might imagine pressing the toe pads into the floor as well, gripping gently. And then shifting your weight to the right, lift the left knee to center and check in here with the hips, find that balance. Gaze point can be steady. You could also hold a wall if that works better for you. Maybe hands hold the belly of the left thigh, hands to prayer. Generally whatever you did on the first side, but you can modify. And take a deep inhale and exhale, extend. Inhale, exhale. 3 more. Last one. Inhale, bend the knee, and pause here. Exhale. Preparing for warrior 3. Inhale, lengthen. As you exhale, start to hinge from that right hip, bringing the spine towards parallel. As it approaches, send that left foot straight behind. And again, you can bring hands to props, hands to prayer, be where you need to be. Maybe taking a hand towards the low back just to check in. Does it feel even side to side? Is there something that needs to adjust? Left foot can be flexed. Imagine length from the left foot to the crown of the head. Breathe here. Last couple of deep breaths. Embrace the wobbles if they're happening. All right, deep inhale. And lower the left foot to the back of the mat. Heel down, right leg can extend. And take a few breaths here to set up for your warrior 1. Back foot can point forward, out to the side. See what you need to do to accommodate the hips. You can also widen your base a little bit. When you're ready, bend into that front knee. Back heel stays grounded, actively pressing down. Notice the low back, maybe hands to prayer, arms towards the ceiling. If the arms come up, maybe a little softness for the shoulders. If the arms are lifted, you can lower them to the hips and send the front leg towards straight. I'm preparing for pyramid here. Balance out the hips, lengthen the spine, puff up the chest. Deep inhale. As you exhale, start to hinge, making your way towards halfway down. Hands can find the props. If you need to adjust something for the legs, this side may feel completely different to the first, so go for it. Maybe staying here, maybe bringing hands towards the hips or interlacing. You can stay in your halfway lift shape, or when you feel ready, you start to let the spine get nice and heavy. Let the head hang. Mindful of the hips here. If you need to give yourself an adjustment or check in, find that balance side to side. From your pyramid shape with an inhale, come up to a halfway lift, and then step forward, come and find your forward fold. You can take your time, find some movement, or you can come to stillness, any version, any expression. And if you'd rather rest in down dog or come to standing, then go for it. And from your forward fold, if you have a bind, you can let that go and come to a halfway lift shape as you're ready. And we won't stay heel toe the feet a little wider, point the toes out to an angle, and then start to bend the knees and come to find your squat. So check in here if the standing squat works better for you, or maybe a seated butterfly, or you can make yourself a seat with your blocks. The hands can stay on the floor, especially if you want them for balance. If the heels are lifting, that's not a bad thing, but the shape might feel more restful if they can rest into something. So you might use heart blocks for that. You could also experiment with taking the feet a little wider apart, and sometimes that can help bring the feet to the floor. If you don't need the hands for balance, then think about bringing them to prayer. And as the elbows press the knees apart, create just enough of a counter to find some stability for the hips. Find a little length in the spine, a little space across the chest. If it feels okay to close down the eyes, go for it. Awesome. If the eyes are closed, you can open them and bring one hand, then the other behind you. Lower the bum down to the floor, and then take a gentle windshield wiper with the knees. Awesome. And then if you have your props, just bring them off to one side in case you need them after. We'll sit up for boat pose here so you can scoop the flesh of the bum out of the way. You could also do this off a soft block if that's more comfortable for the tailbone. Maybe starting off, hands to the knees, lengthen the spine, puff the chest, soften the shoulders. And stay here, come to tippy toe, or lift the feet up. You can release the legs. You can close down the eyes and challenge balance. If you want to play with extending the legs, see how that goes for you. Find your breath wherever you are. And if the face can soften a little bit, then let it soften. We're here for just a few more breaths. Is there anything you can do to allow the breath to be just a little bit deeper? All right, and then from here, we're going to lower down onto the back. So you can either lower the feet and help yourself down, or think about extending the legs and gently rounding down instead. And take a little while just to set yourself up on your back if there's anything you need to adjust in the body. Awesome, and then bring the feet roughly underneath the knees. Setting up for bridge pose, and reach down with the hands and catch hold of the edges of the mat. Take a moment just to tone the arms, press the shoulders down. You might imagine the shoulder blades coming a little closer towards each other. And press the feet to the floor, and with an inhale, lift the pelvis up towards the ceiling any amount. If as the chest came up, it restricted the windpipe, you might turn the chin a little towards the ceiling. And you can stay with the arms extended here, or if you like, you can walk the shoulders closer together, and maybe you'll be able to interlace the hands under the back. And keep the feet pressing into the floor, and keep the belly button high. Keep breathing here. If you'd like to stay for a few more breaths, then you're welcome to. If you have the bind, releasing it first, releasing the shoulders, and then slowly start to let the spine come down to the floor. And take the feet wide apart, rest the knees in together, and maybe hands somewhere on the body. And take a few breaths and let the body settle back in. If the knees are together, you can separate them, walk the feet roughly underneath them once again, and then find one of your hard blocks and bring it between the legs. Scoot the hips over towards the left, and then we'll let the knees come down towards the right. If this feels good with the block between the knees, then you can keep it. You can skip it if you'd like, or you can place it underneath the knees or somewhere else. Maybe the arms come and find a T shape here. If you like to take the gaze down towards the left, go for it. If you need to support the left shoulder somehow, then maybe slide your soft block there. Bring the head to center. Bring your left hand down towards your right. Come to lying down on the right side. And we won't stay here. You can prop yourself up on that right hand, or you can rest the ear on the bicep if that's more comfortable. If you're using a block, you can release it and then catch hold of the top ankle, that left ankle, and then point the left knee towards the bottom of the mat. Start to hug the left heel towards the bum. Right leg can stay where it is. If it feels better to extend it partway, go for it. I find keeping a bend to the knee can make it a little less wobbly for you. And breathe into that stretch through the top line of the left leg, through the quad, the hip flexor. Awesome. Gently release the left foot and roll onto your back. From your back, scoot the hips into midline, and then we'll set that up on the second side. Maybe taking your block between the legs if it was helpful on the first side. Scoot the hips over towards the right and let the knees come down towards the left. And take your time to set up. You can add in any extra props that you need. Mirror the expression you did on the first side unless you need to modify. So maybe arms to a T shape, maybe gaze lowers towards the right this time. Bring the head back to center. And then the right hand over towards the left, come down onto your left side. You can remove your block. Either pop yourself on the left elbow or the left bicep. And bend the top knee, catch hold of the foot, and then hugging the heel towards the bum, point that right knee away from you down the mat. Left leg can adjust to accommodate the body. And then hugging the heel towards the bum, find that stretch to the top line of the right leg. And gently release the right leg and lower back onto your back. Awesome. Getting comfortable on your back, and then lift the left leg up, and we'll cross the left ankle on top of the right knee. And setting up for thread the needle, you can stay right here, or you can reach through, catch hold of the right hamstring, maybe of the right shin or knee. I like to flex the left foot. I find that it creates just a little bit of stability for the knee, but see what feels best in your body. And you can choose stillness here. You could find a rock side to side if that helps you settle in. Notice what this feels like through the outer left hip. Imagine you could breathe into that space. As you feel ready to, release that right leg back down to the floor and then uncross the left. And setting up for the second side straight away, right ankle over the left knee. And see, this side may feel different, so it may need a different expression. Otherwise, go for whatever you did on the first side. Maybe a little movement to start you off. And you can come to stillness whenever you feel ready to. And gently release the left foot to the floor, and then uncross to release the right as well. And check in here, see what feels good. Maybe a windshield wiper of the knees side to side, or you can pause with the knees resting together. And from here, as you're ready, we'll set up for Shavasana. I'm going to offer a butterfly shape for Shavasana. If you'd rather rest in a different pose, maybe your classical Shavasana shape or seated meditation, maybe a child's pose. If you're coming with me with butterfly legs, then take the soles of the feet together, let the knees open nice and wide. And if you're using props, you can bring them underneath the hip or the knee, so that the legs have something to rest into and maybe those inner groin muscles can soften. Hands can be on the pelvis or on the chest or somewhere beside the body. Maybe give the head a gentle rock side to side, releasing the neck. You might take your tongue and run it along your teeth, between teeth and lips. And top set and bottom set to help release the jaw. And then notice the space around the mouth and see if you can relax that. Notice the space between the eyebrows and the space around the eyes. And see if you can soften that as well. Notice around the neck, around the shoulders. Is there anything that can soften there? Through the chest and down the spine, and softening into the floor. And whatever shape the hips are in, let them soften as well. And soften the quads and the hamstrings. And soften the calves, the ankles. Let the feet be soft. And find your rest. gently deepen the breath to reawaken the body. If the knees are apart, you can use the hands to gently guide them back together. Maybe taking the feet wide, maybe windshield wipering the knees side to side. And check in here, see if your body's asking for any last kind of stretch or movement, and you can find that. And then when you're ready, you can roll down to one side and take a pause for a breath or two. With the support of the hands, coming up to find any comfortable seated position, using any of the props that you have around for support. Resting the hands wherever they feel comfortable. And then with an inhale breath, lifting the shoulders up to the ears. And with your exhale, softening them down and back. A few more times. When you're ready with your next exhale, softening the shoulders down and back and pausing there. And perhaps connecting the hands at the heart and bowing the chin in towards the chest. And thank you for sharing your breath and your energy today. Namaste. And thank you for joining me for your yoga practice. And my name is Nicholas. If you have any questions, please reach out and enjoy the rest of your week.